What is Uniper contributing to meet the EU targets? We are committed to be carbon neutral by 2040. Uniper has earmarked 8 billion euros for investment into green new assets. This can be electrolyzers, this can be renewables, and this can also be clean dispatchable power. And we further committed to build 1 gigawatt of electrolyzer capacity in Europe by 2030. So in order to accomplish that, we need to have effective regulation which creates the markets. So what we need are viable business models in order to take an investment decision and to deploy our capital. And that's why the partnership and the collaboration between policymakers and private sector is so important. Well, the main hurdles to complete business cases is currently the lack of off-taker commitment. So what Uniper and other utilities need in order to deploy capital, sometimes in the order of three-digit million euro up to billions, this is that you need to have a stable off-take commitment by a consumer that guarantees you cash flow for your project. And this is where you're exposed to regulatory risk. So what happens if certain criteria to the way that green hydrogen is defined are going to change over time? That is a huge risk. We also are exposed to infrastructure risk, like when Uniper completes its electrolyzer project. Are we sure that the pipeline which connects our project to the point of consumption will be completed? Are we sure that our off-taker will be ready to take our hydrogen by that point in time? So all these sorts of risks are currently putting a tremendous burden on private sector. And you see currently a lot of companies announcing to defer their investments into the future because they're actually suffering from this lack of regulation. Green hydrogen, when you produce it, it's more expensive than the conventional fossil substitute. That's why it has not been used in the past. But it's a solution to decarbonize transport. It's a solution to decarbonize steel production and a lot of other industries. So hydrogen is the solution to make renewable energy storable and transportable. So everybody agrees that hydrogen is the solution, but the problem is that currently the big gap between what customers are able to afford. So when you say willing to pay, it somewhat sounds like they're unwilling to pay for the green premium. I think there is a strong interest by off-takers to take green hydrogen, but the affordability is not there because those off-takers are exposed to global competition. When you produce a ton of steel, you need to be competitive against a producer from Asia, from the US or other European countries. And in order to comply with that, we need to have a regulation which provides a level playing field for hydrogen off-takers and industries in Europe against their competitors worldwide. Well, innovation, I think it's one key of making green hydrogen more competitive. Right now we see a lot of energy efficiency losses when you produce hydrogen by way of electrolysis, and that is also driving the cost. So if you were to reduce that efficiency losses, hydrogen would become way more competitive. And so innovation is basically key in order to increase that efficiency level and make hydrogen more competitive. First and foremost, before we can deploy capital, we need to understand the risks, the risk profile associated with this investment project. And one of the key risks that we look at is offtake. So whether we actually have somebody who commits to take hydrogen, which is the volume risk, and pays a certain agreed price, which is the price risk. So price and volume, this is our cash flow, and this is what management normally wants to see, because before they say we are ready to commit to a substantial amount of money into one project. Then there is a question of what actually happens to your investment if there is a change in law. Who has to bear those consequences? Is it the investor, or is it the off-taker, or is it a state entity? So these sort of questions we have to answer before we take an investment decision. And that's what we always refer to as investment certainty. And right now we have a situation where for investment projects, you need to apply for subsidies, for funds, you need to write up a very long and complex funding applications, then you need to maintain and manage them over time. And this is not compliant with market economy. With market economy, you should set a level playing field which attracts investors, which attracts suppliers and off-takers. And this is a situation that we would like to see as something which is way more simple, incentivizing the scale up of hydrogen in order to bring down production costs, in order to see synergies in the industry, and to ultimately make hydrogen way more competitive. Uniper's role in the hydrogen industry is very similar to what we do in power generation. So there we build, own, operate power plants, and we service our customers with competitively priced power. We do the same with gas. We import gas from a global portfolio, and we service our customers with natural gas and other energy commodities, also with green power, hydropower. And we would like to play the same role in hydrogen. So we want to make our customers an offer for supply of hydrogen at the customer plant gate, which then includes Uniper's selecting the technology, building, owning, and operating the electrolyzer plant, procuring the power, the renewable power from the market. And ultimately make sure that our customers get supplied with green hydrogen, with low carbon hydrogen at competitive prices, which allows them to produce whatever they produce in Europe and be globally competitive.